Hello Internet, my name is Hazel from Hazel Nutty Games. It is almost Saturday, so we're gonna do a vlog. It's very hard for me to not touch my desk, but I need to not because my webcam, it says my monitor. And these monitors, I love these monitors. They're LG 23 EA63s. They're like IPS monitors. They've got very slim bezel on them, so they look great and they work really well as a 2-set. But they're a little on the wobbly side, and with the webcam perched on top of it, you poke the desk and it goes, ah! So I need to not do that. In WoW news, there's a couple of things that happened this week. First, in my mind, I don't think it was the first one of the week, but most recently there was a big fat Banwave that went out, and a number of people. A fairly large number of people, we're talking thousands and thousands, presumably 100,000 plus people that had been supposedly caught botting have been now banned from World of Warcraft. The emails say 6-month suspensions, which would put them coming back around November, which is suspiciously right around when the new expansion should be. I mean, we have no idea, but it's kind of funny how that worked out. I know a lot of guilds were very surprised to find which members were still there and which ones were gone. Our guild's mostly intact. We lost 1 or 2 people, but for the most part, we're all still here. But I've heard that some mythic raiding guilds lost like a whole bunch of people, which is kind of shocking to me. Like, not people that were necessarily botting in raid, but people that don't have time to like fish or something. I'm not really sure what's going on, but it is very it's very big news. I think it's good news for sure. PvP has been noticeably more fun since this happened. There has been, I have not detected one person that I could potentially accuse of kickbotting, and Battlegrounds appear to have real people in them again, which is it's good. The problem was bad. It wasn't as bad as some people used to make it out to be, especially if you played during normal hours and not off hours, but the problem was bad with botting in Battlegrounds, and it appears to be a lot better now. And of course, the bots are gonna evolve and they're gonna come back. But you know, Blizzard's always come back with the big hammer, so it all works out for the best eventually. They announced this week, I think it was this week, they announced the subscription numbers for the last quarter, and there was a pretty sizable drop. I think it dropped to basically where it was before Warlords came out, because when Warlords came out, we had that huge spike in subs, up to like almost 10 million again, and now we're back to like 7 million. They lost a huge percentage of their subscriber base. And I think that it's fairly easy to extrapolate a number of reasons for that. The raids right now are great. The raids are fine. But if somebody, for a lot of people, that's kind of all they have going on for them. They do their garrison chores, they raid, and there is other content out there, but it's not incentivized in a way to make players want to go do it. And it's not naturally engaging enough on its own to make players want to go do it. So there's sort of a lack of, not a lack of content, but a lack of interesting content that people have the drive to do. And hopefully that is something that is kind of mitigated by patch 6.2. There is a great deal of things coming in patch 6.2. I've been on the PTR pretty much every day that it's been up, and I still have yet to go through like even a little bit of it. I've just been looking at the Tanan Jungle stuff. There's all sorts of other stuff. The shipyard I haven't even really paid much attention to. There's boats, you can name them. I'm not 100% sure what's going on there, but I will figure it out, and it's all gonna be fine. There's lots of people that have a lot of feelings in regards to the sub loss, and I think as a community we all tend to get kind of caught up in us as a community. And I think that a lot of the people that, I mean, for sure there's community members that have experienced this kind of lack of content that are leaving for now, and will most likely come back in the next patch or the next expansion or whatever. But a lot of these people that leave are the kinds of people that don't necessarily go on forums, they're not on Twitter, they're not really watching YouTube videos. They just, they pick up the game when there's something new, and then they play it until they feel like they're done, and then they unsub and they come back later. And this has always happened. It's happening in fairly substantial numbers, and I think that's because they were so successful in getting old players to come back to WoW that hadn't come back for a long time, that there were more of those kind of people to leave. So I'm not really panicking, but then again, I like WoW to a slightly unhealthy extent, and I will probably be playing WoW like long after everybody else has quit, and it's just me and like this other dude named Tom who likes fishing, who are just like sitting on the servers at the end of time, and I'll still be out there collecting battle pets. So I'm not worried about it, but I can see how some people could have some feelings, and I'm sure it's all gonna work out just fine. People will come back, people will leave, the game will rise, the game will fall, and it can't last forever, but it kind of looks like it's going to, so I don't know. In PvP, I tried out a new comp with some friends. I had a buddy who had a hunter, and he wanted to try some threes in his hunter. So we pugged a ret paladin to try out Cupid. And, but he's reasonably new at his hunter. I mean, he's got it geared, but he's still learning. And then we didn't know much about this paladin. And then I'm kind of like a moderately okay player at best. So we weren't really expecting much from it. And then we got 2K rating playing Cupid. Now, to be fair, it's kind of a mongoloid comp where you just kind of eat people. But it was so much fun, and now I can say to people, yeah, I'm a 2K healer in threes, you know, be all snobby. I'm probably not going to, but I have the option, so that was super exciting. I don't really know where I'm going next. I'm perfectly happy just kind of playing throughout the week and hanging out in that kind of like 1800 to 2K sort of bracket and just getting more practice, because there's lots of things that I need to work on. But it is very cool to see a slightly higher end of the ladder. You get some weird comps up there. There are some bizarre comps hanging out at 1900. They're like, I feel like all the flavor comps are at the very bottom, people that don't know what they're doing, that are just trying the flavor comp to get their points for the week, and at the very top because they're overpowered. And in like the 1900, you get these weird combinations of classes that you've never seen before that work surprisingly well. So that was a lot of fun, and I hope to do some more of that. The Mystic Runesaber came out. That was a store mount that they announced and released. I don't think anybody thought it was going to be anything other than the store mount. I don't think they've ever made a promotional post on the Blizzard Facebook page for a mount that did not turn out to be a cash shop mount. I am glad to see that they stuck some wings on it to make it able to like fly. I don't think I'm going to get it at this moment. It looks cool enough. If I feel like I want it at a later date and I have the extra cash, I might get it one day, but I don't feel like the need like I did with some of them. It's cool, but it's not like, you know, super duper cool. But it was interesting to see sort of in relation to like the sub loss was announced, and then in the same week we had A, the Banwave come out that we talked about, and B, the Mystic Runesaber release. And I swear to God, the conspiracy theorists came out in like all of their force. Now there's always people that, you know, they hang out in forums and they mumble and they grumble or whatever. They grumble and murmur about, oh man, this is all about the money. This is a corporate scheme. This thing's happened because this thing is happening, and this is how they're gonna make all the money and screw over the players, and you know, whatever. And there's lots of people being like, man, that's Runesaber. In the same week, they're supplementing their plummeting sub revenue with purple tiger money, and it's enjoyable to watch. They're not 100% wrong. I don't think that Blizzard picked this particular window to publish them out because of the sub loss numbers. I feel like it was just when it happened to happen. But it's no secret that a lot of Blizzard's revenue in the World of Warcraft kind of segment has been shifting from sub numbers to cash shop and services. Not like a huge amount of money, but a reasonably good amount of money. The cash shop mounts and pets have been reasonably successful, so it's not like a secret. But I just find it so funny how like excited like the people that have that moment, they're like, aha, I caught you, and it's enjoyable to me. I love reading this stuff. What else in my WoW life? I finished buying the trading card game Pets. Speaking of stuff for money, I finished buying the trading card game Pets from the auction house. So those are the loot code cards from the WoW TCG, which is no longer in production, I don't think. There's Pets for that, and there's a website that you can go to. You can buy the codes for cash. And some people presumably do that, and then they sell the pets on the in-game auction house, sometimes after having leveled those pets, which is nice. And I have been continuing to play the auction house and having fun with the whole auction house gold making game, and to incentivize myself to do that, I have been, every time I make it to like 100k, I'll drop like 20 to 50k on a new pet. And I've officially run out of TCG pets to buy. I got all of them. Some of them were really disappointing. Like I got the Hippogriff hatchling, and then I looked at my Cenarian hatchling, which was a cash shop pet, and it has exactly the same model and exactly the same moves, and I'm pretty sure exactly the same stats. So some of them were cool, some of them weren't. I love the kites, the Tuskar kite and the Dragon kite. I had no idea how big they are. They're like, those are big kites, and then you put a pet biscuit into them, and then you're just obnoxious. It's fantastic. I am up to 673 unique pets now. I went fishing to finish off my 50 coins for the sea calf, and I spent like 2 hours this morning fishing for my last 5 coins. And I finally got them together, got my sea calf, and he's adorable. And then I checked the auction house and I saw a land shark on there for 20k that was already leveled, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I don't want to fish for another 40 hours. It's funny how your priorities shift. I used to love fishing, and I still do. It's just not something I can find a whole lot of time for anymore. It's very hard to justify time to spend sitting in WoW and fishing when there's so many other things that could be done. So, this week for questions, Haruma again wants to know, what are the best pets to PvP with? That's an odd question to ask me. That might be a question that I might ask you. But pets for PvP, I feel like, is not as different from pets for PvE as one might think, because some pets are just I feel like their stat weights are just a little over-tuned. Like, they have a little bit too much health, speed, power, whatever. And then sometimes those things work out favorably with their move combos. So pet PvP, if you've ever participated in competitive Pokemon, you'll be familiar with the concept. Like, if you're playing Pokemon, for example, any of the Pokemon games, and you're playing just the regular campaign, you're not touching PvP, you're just playing the regular campaign. The way I do it, at least, is I cover as many types as possible so I can do the strong damage, and then I go for big damaging moves. I go for big damage in a variety of types, and then pretty much anything you meet in the PvE world, you can just squish with whatever you got on you. And that's a very similar thing to what we do for PvE pets. The difference in between PvE pet battles in this scenario is that if you're going to fight a pet tamer, an NPC, you can see what they have on them and then choose your pets to kind of counter that. And that's not a luxury that you get when you're doing pet PvP. So you need to, and my analogy is floating all over the place. I should have organized my words better before I started the sentence. You need to kind of anticipate as best you can the kinds of crap they're going to be trying to pull, so that you can A, shut them down a little bit, have a little bit of control, and B, also have enough damage to kill them before they kill you. So in Pokemon, back to Pokemon, in Pokemon PvP, the best pets, and if you've ever read a Pokemon PvP forum, those people are batshit crazy. They are, in a good way, like, they're super passionate about fighting Pokemon against other people. And I looked at it for a bit, because I was really into Pokemon for a bit, and I looked at it and I was like, man, this EV training and getting these certain weights and stats on, like, this gender of this I can't do it. And like breeding them for moves and stuff. So in Pokemon PvP, there's a lot more to it than just big damage of different types. You need to worry about things like control and things like status debuffs. Speed comes in a lot more, and that's something that's the same with pet PvP. So where I'm going with this is that I don't have an answer for you, but the best pets for pet to PvP with are going to be pets that cover a variety of types of damage, so that you can face a number of different things and still have strong damage against it. You want pets with a bit of control. Now, that can be something like damage avoidance moves, something like a bubble, something like a spirit barrier. Even things like lift off and dive can still get you out of the way, so that if you're able to successfully predict when they're using their big smashy crap, if you can get out of the way, that is going to put you very far ahead. So you want things like I said, a variety of types of damage. Some kind of avoidance would be nice. It's not necessary. Mitigation and healing will also factor into that. Again, something like Stampede. If you're fighting somebody that decided they wanted to use their Zandalar ankle render with, like, the Black Claw hunting party stuff, something like Stone Skin is going to be hugely valuable for you in mitigating lots of tiny pings. So yeah, you want pets to have a lot of different stuff. And what it really ends up coming down to in real life at the end of the day is what the current pet meta is. I know I haven't been pet battling in PvP pretty much at all since Warlords, but I did it a bit in MoP. And I know in Mists of Pandaria, the super cool, duper cool things to have were the Unborn Valkyr and the Kunlai Runt. So the metagame that evolved from around that were things that could counter those specific pets. So what I recommend, if you're looking for pets to PvP with, let's say you have a collection of like 10 or 15 pets, and you want to level a PvP team, and you're real excited about that, take your 10 or 15 pets, and then just go fight some people over a couple of different sessions, because I find you can end up re-queuing into the same people, especially if you queue at off hours. But see what people tend to be using. There may be some kind of comp that's particularly strong right now, and that's something that you can counter. So once you've figured out what type of control you want, whether you want mitigation, whether you want avoidance in something like ethereal or deflection that always goes first, or whether you're okay with something like dodge where you have to have a speed advantage, then you got to figure out your synergy. So the best PvP pet battle teams have some kind of inter-team synergy or multiple inter-team synergies that you can use to your advantage, especially if they're not expecting it. So synergies can be basically combos. So things like the Howl Bomb is a very basic combo. I don't know if I recommend it for PvP simply because it's really predictable, and anybody that brought any kind of avoidance move can figure out when you're setting your Howl Bomb up for it and just get out of the way of it. But things like, your Call Darkness Nocturnal Strike, your Rip and your Blood in the Water, your Puncture Wound and whatever the hell that combo's with. Like, those are things that you can have, even on different pets, to give you an edge in PvP pet battles. And then, for example, let's say you've got a pet, you've got your Kunlai Runt, for example, and I'm a little underinformed, I don't know what stats he usually ends up with, but let's say you've got your Kunlai Runt and you're really happy with his abilities, but he's got a little bit of a slow speed stat, and you're not really sure how that's going to pan out, because maybe there's something that you really wanted to do first. Well, that'd be a great point to see if you can stick a team on your pet on your team with something like Dazzling Dance, which will give you a 20% speed buff. 20? Some kind of percentage of speed buff for X amount of turns. Like, you just got to sort of think about scenarios, think about what kind of moves you want to have handy, and get pets that work well together to give each other extra value. You can kind of approach it like a Hearthstone game. You want good value in your pets. So if you want me to actually give you names as good starting pets to PvP with, I think the Kunlai Runt is still pretty good. And as far as store pets, I know the Blossoming Ancient has been doing fairly well because he's a very heal-bot kind of pet. Try things out. And try things out, work with what you have, work with what you like, but you need to really put thought into which 3 pets go together. And that's a little bit tougher. There are YouTubers that make guides on that kind of thing. I'm not one of them yet. I might be in the future, but I have a ways to go. But you can, of course, check out Herma Redx. I know he has different teams that he'll put together and do video series on to kind of show how those teams work. So it's kind of a neat thing. I talked about that for a shockingly long amount of time, considering I don't know very much about it. But I hope you guys had a wonderful week. I will not be streaming on Sunday because my mother's coming to town. I'm going to be hanging out with her and her new boyfriend all day. We're going to go hiking. I'm going to hang out with the dog and get to show her the apartment, and she can meet my cat. And that cat, she's a corner cat. Hang on. Ugh. She loves sleeping in that corner. Every day when I'm just sitting here working, she just finds that corner and she just passes out and she just cuddles and sleeps in the corner of the room. I need to get her a cat bed or something, but she's always in there or on our bed, so I mean, maybe she doesn't need one. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. If you have any questions you'd like answered on a vlog, just leave a comment. Please don't reave a comment. That sounds like a pirate thing. Leave a comment on the most recent vlog, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye!